what's up, you guys? This is Rob from A Gay Guy Plays, and today on the snapshot slash doing it raw, I don't know, it's weird because basically I've been playtesting Excalibur's Exalted Blade versus Excalibur's new augment Chromatic Blade all afternoon long, and basically I just wanted to go ahead and show you guys the results and let you decide for yourself which one you think is worth it. Alrighty, so you probably already seen this from the video earlier today, but I figured I would reiterate for any newcomers. You can pick this augment up for 25,000 standing after you reach rank 5 with either the Steel Meridian or the Arbiters of Hexus. Now, basically Excalibur's Chromatic Blade takes all of Exalted Blade's IPS damage and converts it into a single solitary elemental damage, which is based off of your energy color. It also adds a 50% additive boost to your status chance, which is affected by power strength. So I feel like we gotta jump back to basics real quick, because I did need to remind some of you guys that Exalted Blade has its own stats independent from whatever melee weapon you have equipped. So basically, it does not matter what melee weapon you have, what does matter is what mods are on that melee weapon. Basically, think about it this way. When you're pulling out Exalted Blade, you're sheathing your other melee weapon, and it has its own independent stats. Doesn't matter what melee you have. However, I did want to point this out real quick, that SANDR Prime actually has the same status chance as Exalted Blade, so we're going to use that as a little bit of a kind of visual, so you kind of know what's going on with the rest of the build. So it's got 10% status chance, but adding in Drifting Contact and 2 elemental status mods boosts it up to 26%. Now this is an important thing to note, as the Chromatic Blade build that I'm going to be using has 130% power strength, and because of the fact that the power strength adds onto the status chance added by Chromatic Blade, I wanted to kind of put that out there into the universe, that combining this build with the Chromatic Blade status chance actually boosted up to 91% status chance. That's a little bit repetitive, but I think it got the information across. Now you know. Alright, so jumping into the Chromatic Blade build, what you will notice straight out of the gate is I don't really have all that much power strength in this one. But I really feel that the status chance that you get from Chromatic Blade makes up for it. Now you'll notice in the other build I actually use a Transient Fortitude, and we've got a Constitution that replaces Chromatic Blade. The main reason for that is I like to keep my energy maintenance low on Exalted Blade, so basically I don't really have to worry too much about keeping it up. It just kind of keeps itself up with rage and regeneration and all of that kind of stuff. So I wanted to actually be able to keep that down, but I couldn't do that with keeping Transient Fortitude on. So that's the reasoning for that. However, I'm going to be completely honest with you, I don't necessarily feel like Chromatic Blade really needs all that much more power strength. Now, if you really wanted to hit that 100% status mark, which for me, I'm like, it's just 9% less, you should really chill, you can use Transient Fortitude into this build, and it will launch you up to 103%. Look, I have notes. I've been, look at all these numbers. All these goddamn numbers I've been testing all night. Alright, so going hand in hand with that build is this weapon build. Now you're going to notice a few things that don't really matter to this test, but it's something that I would use in actual real life. You can feel free to replace these with whatever you feel like, but as you guys know, Life Strike is pretty much a must for me. Not necessarily for every single Warframe, but for this specific setup with Excalibur, I do use Life Strike. Next up we have Drifting Contact. Now, this is something that's going to get fixed in a future patch. You're not supposed to be able to hold on to your melee combos, but one of the things that I do want to point out is the reason that it doesn't really matter to me so much in this variant is mainly because of the fact that we're going to be using blade waves to pretty much deal a majority of the damage, because let's be real, it's not everybody is going to run up to enemies and melee them traditionally, but as you guys know, Drifting Contact is not triggered, does not trigger the melee combo counter, so that's why I'm seeing that these two don't necessarily matter. The next thing you're going to see in here that I think I need to explain myself on is Condition Overload. And basically, I need to clarify because some people have not caught on to this yet, but there was a patch that made it so that Corrosive does count as a status. So if you got a Corrosive proc on the enemy, it does count as a status, so you will be getting the bonus from it. Now, because I only have one element on it, it's only a 1.6 time bonus, or basically a 60% bonus. However, I did feel like this would be a little bit more potent than actually using, you know, just another 90% elemental mod. So just so you know that, and no, I don't really want to use I don't really want to use Spoiled Strike because I like to have a little bit of speed in there. Alrighty, so I wanted to go ahead and bring you into my world of testing. First things first, we evade that first rocket by Mr. Billy Man. We go ahead and put a fresh blind on him, and then we mark him, and we get within 5 meters of him. You don't want to get too close because you don't want to trigger finisher. And oops, my bad, because I only like hitting them with the first part of the combo. So it's the same animation multiplier over and over. And the cool thing that I've noticed about using Chromatic Blade is that it is extremely, extremely consistent. Now, from playtesting, legitimately, it was about 15 to 17 hits using this technique in order to take down a level 150 bombard. And again, we always get in pretty close, but we don't want to get in too close, and we always try to hit them with the first part of the combo. Now, this is not something that I can say for the Exalted Blade variant, as the numbers started to vary pretty wildly. Now, clearly, I still had a little bit of variance between 15 and 17, but those numbers are far more close than the Exalted Blade. Now, as for Exalted Blade, like I had said earlier, basically instead of Intensify, we have Transient Fortitude, and instead of Chromatic Blade, we have Constitution. And again, the Constitution is only there to offset the energy consumption that Exalted Blade takes to maintain. Now, if you want to put other things in this build, you go ahead and do that, but this is my build. This is what I like. You don't like it, you don't have to use it. You can use your own variant, but basically this is just kind of displaying what we're working with. Now, we've also got the Galatine Prime build, and as you can see, it uses Condition Overload again, which works well with the IPS that this has, so Impact, Slash, and Puncture. For those, I didn't say that in the right order. Anyway, you guys know that. It's the physical damage types. We've got Drifting Contact to help push up its status chance. We've got, we are using Viral on this one, and I'm going to be honest with you, I actually did try earlier with Corrosive, and the numbers were so freaking similar that I'm just like, it doesn't even fucking matter to me which one of these you use. It all comes down to the luck of the draw. Now, the last thing that I did want to point out, which is what I feel like is the most important mod for this setup, is Buzzkill. Now, for those of you who don't know, basically, Excalibur's Exalted Blade has an even IPS spread. So what happens is all of the physical damage types have the exact same amount of chance to be procced. Now, when you put Buzzkill on, while it doesn't necessarily pump up these slash procs, what it does do is it increases your chance to proc slash, which is really where a lot of the damage comes from. Basically, you're getting some boost from Condition Overload, and then you're hoping that it supercharges one of your slash procs, or, you know, you happen to get lucky with a viral and slash follow-up combo. Because this build is... it works really well when it works, and that's the big thing that I kind of want to point out, is that it works when it works, but when it doesn't work, it really takes forever. So again, we're going to get within the 5 meter mark. We're going to go for the body shots, because that's what we do. Whoops, I accidentally got in a headshot right there, but as you can see, this is taking considerably longer until we get those splash procs in. And then the slash procs stay, and then we get the viral, and then it starts really chipping away at the enemy really, really quickly. Now, I've had times where we've got like a million gazillion slash procs going off at once, and that was magnificent. So the issue that I was having with this, and I'm not saying that this is a bad build or that this is bad or anything, but the main issue was that it was just highly inconsistent. So my numbers were, as compared to the 15 to 17 that the Chromatic Blade had, this actually varied from 9 up into the 30s. So it really just depended on exactly how well and how lucky you were with the procs. And I'm kind of hoping that we get a bunch of slash procs right now to kind of show it off, to see exactly how fast this build can chop through an enemy. Because it's really, like I said, when it's good, it's really good, but when you don't get the luck of the draw, it really, really hurts. One of the things that I would almost suggest, and as you can see, we're still chipping away at this guy, and we've got no procs to kind of like, to capitalize on. So that's the real big issue. But as you can see, when the slash goes off, it's like insanely powerful. The one thing that I would maybe, if you guys want to try it out and test it out, I'm not going to do it because I'm telling you right now, Life Strike is one of those things that I like to have on my weapons. You can agree or disagree, it doesn't matter, but it's not going to change what I equip. But you might even want to try Weeping Wounds on this just to see if maybe you can get more consistent procs. Okay, I'm crossing my fingers that we get some slashes on this one. There you go. Come on, give me all the slashes in the world. Do all the slash damage. Yes, yes, baby, yes. It's looking so good on camera, but too bad you ain't consistent. Oh no. So that's what it looks like when all of your slashes goes off, and it feels super epic because you bypass all of that armor, but legitimately it's just not consistent. So all in all, Chromatic Blade is a pretty solid augment, and when I say solid, I mean consistent. Now, clearly Exalted Blade has these moments of glory where you like let off all of your slash procs and it completely tears down an enemy from the inside out, and sometimes you get that viral smackdown, which really kind of cuts their health in half and just makes for this epic moment, which is really amazing and really cool to capture on cam. However, the reality of it is it's just not as consistent as Chromatic Blade. Now, does that necessarily mean it's better or worse? Let's be real. For the star chart, either one is gonna work. Now, what I'm actually gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna jump into some gameplay with some corpus, and mainly the reason that I want to do that is because we tend to do a lot of our testing on grineer, and I wanted to show exactly how this works when it comes to a different faction, because the really cool thing about Chromatic Blade is the fact that you really do have the ability to tailor your damage type to the faction that you're playing against, and I find that to be one of the most interesting things about this augment, and I think where the augment gets the point over Exalted Blade. But those are just my feelings, and as well as the facts and figures. So if that's all you're looking for, then you're pretty much done here for now. However, if you want to stick around and take a look at the corpus gameplay, that's going to be coming up right now. Alright, so I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm slightly mad. I'm slightly mad at this, mainly because of the fact that I forgot that I was going to have to fashion frame this out and change some of my colors to my Excalibur, which I was like, oh no! I completely forgot that was a thing that I had to do. However, I'm not necessarily the fondest of having to consistently change colors, but, you know, I did it for the video. Now, if we're gonna jump into the actual validity of this mod, if I'm gonna be real with you, I actually think it's pretty gosh darn solid. It's really cool because, to be honest, it feels like a side grade upgrade. And I know that sounds weird, but... What? Okay. It feels like a side grade upgrade. It's like... I feel like it's worth it, but it's not like insanely worth it. It's better, but it's not like insanely better. It's not like radial disarm better, you know? It's really good and it's fun and it's cool because you can come up with really interesting combos. Like one of the big things that I was thinking about earlier was, okay, well, guess what? If you have a team of 4 corrosive projections, you actually don't need the armor stripping from corrosive. What you can do is you can turn Excalibur basically into a freaking viral cannon. You can either do viral fire or you can just do viral, because if you do viral fire, what you can do is you can get an extra percentage off of the, what is it called? Oh my god, what is it called? Condition overload. So you can do viral fire and you can put out a little bit of CC. Not only can you put out a little bit of CC, but you can also have health at the same time. So it's a really cool mix of things that you can do, and you can really tailor it, especially if you're going in and you're trying to do some really cool things with your squad. You can almost plan out what you're gonna do with it, because it almost turns you into like either a debuffing or control machine. Which, I mean, you know, when you've taken away enemy defenses, you can really be a massive benefit to your team at. And even here, where you're just bypassing, where you're completely bypassing enemy shielding, that could be major, especially on a sortie where they have like, where they have the super shielding thing. And now I've run out of energy, but we are at the end of this mission, so I feel like it's completely valid. Anyway, those are my thoughts and feelings. I think that Chromatic Blade is a really cool thing to play around with. I think it's really interesting. It's not insanely potent that it's you must have this, but it's one of those things that can change up the gameplay just enough to make things interesting. And I think that that's what augments should do. Maybe a little bit more potency. Maybe just a little. Maybe add in like some crit or something to it. However, one of the things that I do want to put out into the universe is that I currently do not have Matarai unlocked. So for those of you who don't know, Matarai has an ability in it where it basically adds slash damage to whatever you're doing. Now, for those of you who think that it works like a physical damage mod, it doesn't. It just adds 30. I believe it's 30%. 30% slash damage. So when you have a high enough status chance and you could do viral or corrosive or whatever, and then also have the chance at a slash proc on top of that, this could work really well with Matarai, especially because this is a channeled ability, so you really don't have the benefits of Xeneric to like look forward to kind of keep it maintained. Of course, you could run this with Naramon and get the invisibility from it, but I'm just saying, mix things up, make things a little bit interesting, and that pretty much does it. So let me know how you guys feel about it, if you guys have done any other playtesting with any other different builds that yield different results. That's the main thing that I'm looking for. If you're using different builds, but you're getting similar results to my results, I don't really give a shit, keep that shit to yourself. But if you found something you're like, no, you should have used this completely different combination, it would have yielded something dramatically different, let me know what you think. Of course, make sure that you're optimizing both your builds for each different end of the spectrum. I don't want you to tell me about one insane build for one side, but completely ignore another insane build for another side. Okay? Just say it. So as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch yo body. I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.